G'day and welcome to this week's FriBaT, Friday Beers and Tools with Andy. Hope you like the new intro. Please give me some feedback on it in the comments down below. See what you think. Right, third week in, third week of a zero beer, 3 weeks without any alcohol. I don't know whether it's doing me any good or not, but anyway, let's hope so. This one is called Heydays, and it is an XPA. And what do they have to say about Heydays XPA? Heydays represents chilling kinds of occasions with great friends that never end. Say hey like you mean it and let the good times roll with this zero alcohol XPA. This fresh and crisp XPA is bursting with flavour. Yeah, okay. And goes down with a taste like the bright golden sun. XPA exhibits looks slightly hazy with light malt aroma. This is really well written, with a dash of pine, citrus and tropical hop notes on the nose, while palate is light malt body with citrus, pine and slight tropical fruit flavours. Medium hop bitterness lingers to create a deliciously rounded mouthfeel. Big calls for a zero alcohol beer, but hopefully, happy Friday. It's okay. Oh yeah, there's the bitterness. It actually does have some flavour. Still not the same punch as an alcoholic beer, of course. The research I've done, alcohol does provide some flavour, which is bizarre because alcohol is actually a clear liquid that has no flavour, no taste. But something must be taken out of the process or out of the beer during the de-alcoholizing processing. It's not very tropical compared to a full, what I would call a full XPA. It's drinkable. It's probably not quite as good as last week's zero beer, which was okay. This one's also okay, but in a different way. It's definitely got a bit of bitterness there, which sort of gives you more of a beer flavour. But for being an XPA, there's not a real lot of tropicals or fruits. Even the light malt aroma, I'm not getting a real lot of light malt from it. Look, it's not bad. Could you drink it if you were going out, designated driver, for whatever reason, just not having any alcohol? Yeah, it's okay. On my spanner scale, it's probably a 2.5 out of 5. Since last week I was wavering between 2.5 and 3, and I upped that last week's 1, 2, 3. This one I'm going, it's a 2.5, but I'll give it the benefit of the doubt and give it a 2.5. It's worth a try if you're keen to try these zero alcohol beers. Yeah. Alrighty. This week our tool is a set of spring compressors, and they are from Amazon. And I've had a few sets of spring compressors over the years. The last set, in fact, all the previous sets I would call dangerous because they didn't have any method of locking. Spring compressors, unless you've got a little bit of wits about you, there's an awful lot of energy in a car suspension spring. And up until the last few years, spring compressors, pretty much the same sort of design as this, however, did not come with any locking mechanism to hold them in place. And that's certainly the case for my previous ones, which are probably going to go into the recycling bin now that I've got these, because they have no pins. So the way you use them is when you need to compress a McPherson strut type spring, or in fact any type of spring that's under load in a vehicle. You place these around your spring and you push the pin in place, which actually locks the spring in that position, and then you get a spanner and tighten here, and eventually the spring, sorry, there's two of them, so you put them on opposite sides of the spring and you get a nice uniform compression on each one. Bring the spring down evenly on both sides, and then that enables you to remove the spring from the vehicle. Like I said, these things are deadly if they're not used right, or rather compressing springs can be deadly if it's not used right. Like I said, there's an awful lot of built up energy in a car suspension spring, and so having a decent set of spring compressors. Look, basically I wouldn't recommend, if you see spring compressors without any sort of locking mechanism to hold the spring compressor in place on the spring, do not buy them, don't go near them, they are dangerous. These are quite reasonably priced, $73.78 delivered to me, and of course made in China. Yep, made in China. Come with a blow mold case, which is reasonable. We all know what blow mold cases eventually do, they just fall apart. I'll put a couple of pictures up here of the spring compressors in place on a spring so that you can get a bit more of an idea. Do not ever use an impact driver when tightening these down. You can use a ratchet on them, however don't use an impact driver. You should keep the shafts lubricated so they don't bind, and you should position them 180 degrees apart on the spring. It takes a 3/4 or 19mm socket on the end to compress them. They weigh 1 kilogram, and the blow mold case box is 15 by 10 by 5 centimeters. They come reasonably well rated on Amazon, 4.6 stars out of 5. And like I said, there are a few other different types, slightly cheaper I might add, that don't have a spring locking mechanism. Stay well away from them. I will put a link in the description below for you to purchase these spring compressors. I'm fairly impressed by the quality, even though they're Chinese. Let's talk value for money. For $73, if you're setting up a kit or you're working on your car for the first time and you need to compress springs, it's a $73 worth of peace of mind you're buying to do it safely. And they're the sort of thing that if you look after them, they generally don't wear out. Like I said, my previous ones are going in the recycling bin because they don't have a spring holding or safety capturing pin on them. So for value for money, for $73 odd, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 beers. For functionality, I have used a set very similar to this previously. I borrowed from a mate who had the locking mechanism on them to hold the spring in place, and they work fine. They can be a little bit difficult on some types of McPherson strut setups, getting enough space to be able to ratchet the top down. The top hat sometimes gets in the road on the strut. However, it's usually just a matter of fiddling with the position of the spring compressors, and then you find a good spot and you can tighten them down. So for functionality, it's a bit of a no-brainer. It's a 5 out of 5. They are a dangerous piece of equipment. Anytime you're compressing springs, it's a dangerous process. So please take care, do some research before you go and do it if you've never done it before. Obviously, the best way to do it is with a commercial spring compressor. I'll put a picture up here of what they look like. Much, much safer. However, cost prohibitive for most of us home garage workshop type people. So therefore, this is a reasonable way to go. So yeah, so for functionality, I'm going 5 out of 5. no problem there. Alrighty, have some more of this zero alcohol beer. It's all right. That's it for this week's FriBaT. Nice quick short one again. Those of you might have seen, I did put up a short of some work that I'm doing to Project Natasha, and that video will be coming out soon, just waiting on some parts so that I can finish that process up. So check that out when it comes out. Please give me your thoughts on the new intro for FriBaT, and give me some feedback and leave me some comments. I love getting comments on tools, beers, shooting the breeze, whatever else. That would be great. Anyway, please, as usual, if you're new to the channel, please give us a like, thumbs up, and please consider subscribing. It does help the channel out heaps. And we'll see you next week for next week's FriBaT. Cheers.